Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pink Shade. It's Thursday. That means Shades of Bravo. But first, I want to talk to you guys about some things that are going on the podcast. Okay, so the Love is Blind recap will be up today, Thursday, on Pink Shade Prime. That's a $10 level. It will appear on the free feed next week. The Prison Bride season finale recap is up today on Prime. That was the 10th episode, so that was exciting. Also on Prime, don't worry, I'll get to the free feed in a minute, but also on Prime, Seeking Sister Wife and 90 Day Single Life will be out on Friday. And of course, next week on the free feed, like I said, it'll be Love is Blind and 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After new season. And Shades of Bravo next week will be with Ronnie Karam. So that's what's happening. But guys, guess what? I just mentioned Seeking Sister Wife, and I was a guest on Kate Casey's show this week talking about Seeking Sister Wife.
Mhm.
So make sure to check that out. And speaking of Kate Casey, she's here. Hey, Kate.
Hi.
Hey, good to see you early in the morning for you.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I've been up a while.
I can't even get over that. And here I am, like still in my pajamas, and it's 10:30 my time. I mean, my Lord.
Well, I just had a friend that they watched the Love is Blind reunion and they text me and called me this morning and they said, well, I watched it last night and I was too afraid to call you because it was late. And then I was too afraid to text you this morning because it was too early. I was up both times.
Like I'm never asleep.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm Kate Casey. I have 5 kids. Well, I got to tell you that I'm very excited that you're here to talk about the Beverly Hills Part 3 reunion with me.
Mhm.
And I watched it this morning because last night, Kate, you will not believe the night that I had. I went out to see John Hill's show in
Oh, that's
DC.
right. Right.
And he had to borrow like a Casio keyboard, like a piano from producer Ingrid. So I had to get this keyboard from producer Ingrid and then get it downtown. This thing is like 4 parts, like super heavy. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wimpy. So anyway, I had to get it from Ingrid, put it in my car, then get it from my car into an Uber, get it downtown. John and his friend came out and got it assembled. It's still at the venue downtown. I have to go get it later today. It's been a whole thing. So John was, of course, like super appreciative and all that. So I got to watch a sound check and I was there like a stalker early, but it was super fun. But he told me, Ashley Darby is coming. I was like, oh, great. I said I met her in the airport on the way home from BravoCon. We're both flying into DC. She really couldn't be nicer, like the easiest person to chat with. So she comes and she sits, at the table next to us. Mandy Slutzer was there with me as my guest from Is This Real Life with Mandy. And we ended up chatting with Ashley Darby, having the best time. Couldn't be nicer. Just couldn't be
Oh, cool.
easy. She's so easy breezy. Then she comes up, and so I knew that John Hill was going to dinner with Ashley and her 2 friends. And fine, whatever. So I was talking to the event space planner about when I was going to come get the piano and stuff. And Ashley goes, "Hey, do you guys want to go to dinner with us?" So of course, me being like a
Yeah.
weird, awkward, like high school flashback, I go, "Oh, that's okay. You don't have to invite us. Like, it's fine." Like,
Oh.
what a weirdo. And she goes, "I invited you because I want you to come. Do you want to come?" I go, "Oh, okay." Mandy Slutzker, excuse me, Slutzker, I always say it wrong. Mandy Slutzker is looking at me like, "What is wrong with you? Why did you say that?" Like somebody
Yeah.
asked you, just say yes. But I mean, of course, also Kate, it's
Mhm.
like 9:30 and I'm like, Mama's tired.
Totally.
I got home at 12 o'clock last night.
Yeah.
Okay. These people can party. And
Yeah.
John Hill and his friend Eric that was with him are sober. Um, Ashley's with her 2 friends. They're ordering the fancy bottles of wine. And Mandy and I are like, should we just have a drink? Like, should we eat? Like, what should, because we'd already eaten. Like, what should we do? It was so fun. We went to this Mediterranean restaurant downtown.
What's it called?
It's called Balos, Balos. It's
Okay.
delicious. I mean, I had like some appetizers because I was like, "Ugh." John Hill ends up picking up the whole check, which is so
Oh,
nice.
very
It was
nice.
such a nice time. And so I texted with Ashley this morning and I was like, how do I go about getting you on my show, as a guest? We don't have to talk about Potomac. We could talk about other stuff. But I always just have, as you know, Kate, it's very
Yeah.
hard to book Bravo talent. Very
Very
hard.
hard.
They make it
Which
very hard.
people have no clue how hard it is.
And Bravo makes it very hard. It doesn't matter if you know somebody personally, like, a lot of them personally, and they
Doesn't
make
matter.
it very hard. So I wrote her, I was like, "How can we do it? Like, how can" she was like, "Well, I'll go through the right channels, but I'll tell them that you and I are actual friends." I was like, "I don't think it's gonna matter." But she was great. It was a crazy night. I got home at 12, forced myself to go to bed, but I was so, like, excited from the night and got up this morning, boom, I gotta take these notes on Beverly Hills. I gotta talk to Kate. Yeah.
Girl, I've never felt more seen in my life. I had a long day too, and I was up late watching these shows.
Yeah.
I feel you. Yeah.
I haven't even watched The Love Is Blind yet as of this recording, but I will be watching it right after this and then recording right after
Mhm.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't bounce back like I used to, Kate. I don't bounce back like I used to after a night of being out with a housewife. It's rough on this old lady.
Well, I have, like,
Um,
the opposite problem because I was in the car 3 hours driving home from LA, and that is, like, draining, just being in a car, you know? Like,
why were
it's
you in LA? Were you there for
hard
like
to
a
say. I
dance
went to this
tournament?
No, 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 I went to this luncheon at,
Ooh,
Kathy Griffin's house.
that's right. That was yesterday.
Yeah. So she has these, like, salon lunches where
Yeah.
it's very cool. She invites a bunch of people, and you're not allowed to, like, touch your phone the entire time you're there.
Nice.
And they're all people that are, not necessarily in one friend group. They're all so
Mhm.
you sit around the table and you introduce yourself, and then there's a question put out and has to go around, and it's a 3-course meal, and it's very cool. But the coolest thing is that the singer Sia was there,
Yeah, I love her.
and she's lovely. And my oldest daughter, is a dancer, and
Mhm.
I've had this video of Mia dancing as a little girl to one of Sia's songs.
Yeah.
And so, they're making a documentary about her. So their whole film crew was there,
Amazing.
and I got to
Kate
show
Casey's gonna
her
be in the Sia documentary?
maybe,
Maybe.
um, but I got to show her videos of my daughter of when she was little dancing to her song, and then
Mhm.
one recently,
Yeah.
and, it was
And
really
what she
sweet.
and then what she looks like now is like a grown teen.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and then, Meredith Lynch was there, so she filmed the whole thing of me showing Sia. So when I got home, I got to show my daughter videos of her like idol,
Yeah.
watching videos of her dancing.
Oh, God,
It was
that's
really cool.
amazing.
But I have to say she's like a complete angel. When she was talking about her music, and I was explaining like how important music is to my daughter and
Mhm.
dancing. And she just said, "I at some point I realized that my gift, my talent is beyond me. Like, it doesn't even occur to me how many people get touched by it."
Right.
And I thought, that probably makes sense for a lot of the people in that room because there were a lot of them were entertainers,
Yeah.
and they're in their vacuum, and they have no idea how many people that they touch. There was
I've
another
told
woman
Yeah,
who's
I've
like a
told you about
famous
Kathy Griffin, like
comedian.
how much Kathy Griffin means to me. I've told you,
Yeah.
like, I love her so much and you're friends with her. I think it's amazing. Yeah.
There was another woman there, her name's Lunell. You have to look her up. She's hilarious. She's a super famous comedian, and she brought her daughter and her niece, and they were, telling me that they were pitching a show about themselves. They're really, like, beyond funny, like,
Yeah.
beyond.
Yeah.
And anyway, they were sitting there, and you'd appreciate this. They're all of a sudden, I hear Mika talk about Carlos King and how much she loves him, and I went, "Wait, he's my friend." So
Yeah.
I got the FaceTime out, and I hope I'm like, "Carlos, you gotta make a show about these 3. They're ridiculous." Like, Lunell's the comedian. Danelle is her only child, her daughter, but she really raised her niece. And
Mhm.
once Mika was 18 years old, then she had a child. Like, that's what an incredible role model and, like, supportive
Yeah.
guardian she was to her niece. And her
Mhm.
niece works at the power and gas company.
Mhm.
They were just beyond funny.
Well, it's interesting that you're saying this because it sounds like this Lunel, I feel like has she been on Heather's show before?
You know what? Maybe she was.
Like, pretty recently in the last maybe, like, 6 months, I feel like she was on.
Maybe.
And she was
She's
sort of
really funny, but the family dynamics just took me out. Like,
I
they
feel like
were
her
just
telling
telling
that's why I felt
stories.
like sounds familiar about the she had a daughter, but then she also was raising her that's why it sounds
Yeah.
familiar. Yeah.
They're ridiculous. They're so funny. Anyway, it was just, like, kind of wild when you're in a room with, like, people that funny. But the
Yeah.
one thing they said that was so true was, I've done stand-up comedy. I am in no ways comparing myself, please understand this, but I do find that I don't really laugh at people that are really funny. Like, if I look at watch a comedy show, I very rarely laugh out loud. I'm laughing in my brain, and I'm
Yeah,
sort of,
yeah.
like, calculating the comedy math. Like, oh, that was good. I like how they got led up to that. But
Mhm,
I'm not
right.
reacting in the same way an audience member would. And Kathy and Luna were talking about how they don't react when like they go to a show either, or even around their friends, like their comedy friends.
Yeah,
That they're. She said, we're not laughing. We're all just talking and we're being over the top, but no one laughs.
right. It is probably a lot of, like, with comedians together, they're all probably trying to make each other laugh because it probably means a lot, and then nobody's laughing because 'cause they're always trying to, like, make each other laugh,
Probably. Yeah.
And they're calculating, would that be a good joke? Would it be a bit?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm always like calculating the comedy math in my head.
Well, listen, I thought I had a fun night, but you topped me, so
No, I
fine.
didn't top at all. No, but I just thought that was sweet, and that for all the moms that are listening, like,
Yeah.
just the ability, like, when your child really, like, has this favorite person,
Mhm.
and then I got to share the video of this little girl dancing to her music, and
Yeah.
it was just really special.
That's pretty incredible. Maybe one day,
Yeah.
Mia will meet Sia.
Well, she said to me when she was leaving, she asked me, "Can we keep in touch?"
Uh-huh, and you're like, I'm busy, but sure."
I was like, "What?" Yeah, it's kinda cool. I'm gonna like a text chain with her.
Oh, God,
Super
Kate.
fun.
I gotta get some of that Kate magic rubbed off on me when I'm in LA.
We're hanging.
We're
We're definitely
hanging.
hanging.
We're definitely
I
hanging.
would say I know everybody, but one thing
You
Kathy did say was
you
she's
do
like,
know everybody.
Kate's resourceful. If she doesn't know who it is, she'll find the person. I think that's true.
I think that's very true. You
Like
are resourceful.
if somebody comes to me and they need help on something, I'll do everything in my power to help them out.
Okay, well, here's something I'll put you on. So for later
Okay.
today, here's and we will talk about the reunion here next. But here's something I'll put you on. I'm trying to get an interview with Karen Kilgariff.
Oh, okay. She's on my
She's
network, isn't she?
uh I think.
Isn't she on Wondery?
No, I think exactly right. Left Wondery. The whole network, I think, left Wondery, and they do something else now.
Okay. You know
They
who
do their
might
own
know her?
thing. Who?
Rachel O'Brien. I think she knows her.
Okay. Um, Rachel No Brian on Twitter. Um, I
I
just
love
always
her.
remember that. I just always
She's
remember that
so
was her Twitter
funny.
name. Yeah, Rachel No Brian. Yeah, I'm trying to get in touch with Karen Kilgariff, and Matt Marr looked on his Facebook. He goes, "Oh, we have 23 friends in common." I was like, "Please go through those 23 friends. Who are you closest with that you could
Yeah.
ask for this ask?" Because she's my podcast idol. I've said a million
Yeah.
times. You know how
Mhm.
when people compare, like how you just like you all like a lot of trolls will feel the need to like write something mean under a comment or like write you and say, that episode wasn't your best. And
For
you're like,
sure.
why would you feel the need to like reach out and say that? And then I always compare it to my favorite podcast of all time is My Favorite Murder. I'm a murderino. I'm a longtime listener. I'm a member of the fan cult, got the merch,
Yeah.
been to the shows, the whole thing. But never in my life have I ever reached out to Karen Kilgariff to let her know that that just wasn't my favorite episode. Like,
No
nobody
way.
needs to hear from me. Who cares? Um, but I just love her so much. So I do whenever I compare anything about a podcast, or people will say to me, and you probably get this a lot, like, "Oh, I feel like I know you because I've listened to you,"
Yes.
and I'm like, "You do know me, just like I know Karen Kilgariff." Same thing. I
Mhm.
always use her as my touchstone. So I was like, you know what? I have had a successful podcast now going on 6 years.
Yep.
Maybe I could find a person in common and reach out to her and ask for an interview. Like,
Okay, let's do it.
maybe I
That's
could
the
do
new
it.
goal. Let's do it.
That's the goal. I have a
Yeah.
list, like a list of like people, like a dream list.
Tell me
And,
your tell me 3 or 4 people on your dream list.
okay, well, two of them are people that you know, which are Kathy Griffin and
We're
Rosie
gonna do
O'Donnell.
that. We're gonna do
Yeah,
that.
Karen Kilgariff. And then I would love to still trying to make a Casey Wilson happen, even though like we are friends and we text each other, still unable to get her on the show because she is extremely busy with her own career, obviously. Oh yeah, but I would like literally, I could look at my list right now. I have it on this spreadsheet. Margaret Josephs is my other dream, and
Okay, we
have
can do that. I can do
been
that.
trying to
Do
work that
that.
out with Anthony for like a year.
Oh, okay. I'll help you.
And Kelsey from Normal Gossip. I've told you how much I love that
Oh, you
podcast,
did
Normal
tell me
Gossip.
that. Yep.
hmm
Mhm.
I think that's going to happen. They're on tour right now. But I feel like that is attainable. Also, she lives in DC, so I'm kind of like, I'll even come to you. Like, you can sit on your bed. I'll come sit on your floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually,
Alright,
truthfully, I
we're
just
gonna
want to
make
be on.
this
I just
happen.
I just want to be on that podcast too because I love gossip.
I know you do. You're the one who told me about it. I
So good.
love that. When
So
I find out a new podcast, I love that.
me too.
You know what my
I
favorite is? Have I told you this before? Heavyweight?
yeah.
I just love that
I'm gonna
one.
write it down again because I'm gonna need stuff to listen to on the plane. So LA.
Heavyweight, for everybody listening, is a great, great show produced by Jonathan Goldstein, and he's a great narrator. And essentially, in every episode, he's helping unburden something heavy on their heart, so to speak. But
Mhm.
every episode's different. Like one episode, my favorite was, well, my second favorite was when a girl got kicked out of a sorority in college and she just beat her up for 10 years. Like, why,
Mhm.
why, why? So he goes back and calls all the sorority sisters.
That's good.
Such a great concept, and he's Canadian, and he's just funny and likable and quirky, and there's one episode in particular that you have to listen to. It's the Barbara Schutz last season. It's a two-parter, and it begins with him, being asked by his mother-in-law to find this woman that she worked with, like, 50 years before in Copenhagen one summer, and what
Wow.
unfolds is so wild that at the end of part 1, I had to pull my car over. That's how
Okay.
I was, like, processing what I had heard.
Okay, I'm gonna listen to it. I'm
I
gonna
feel
listen
like
to
if
it.
you like normal gossip, the
I
Barbara
do.
Schutz episode, you're going to want to throw your phone across a room. Like, I can't believe it.
Okay. Well, after I do all the Love Is Blind stuff today, I'll do that because
Yes.
I'll need some
Yeah, when you
decompressing.
take the dogs out, go listen to that.
That'll be this afternoon
Yep.
after I go pick up this piano downtown. Okay, let us talk about this because I don't have you for a super long time, so I want to talk about this episode. And okay, we start off with Sutton and Kyle before she faints. So they hug, whatever. When I tell you the shots I got of my television of the faces people were making during this episode,
Oh, no.
when Sutton and Kyle hug, and Kyle's kind of on her, and Kyle makes a joke like, "Don't make out with me," and Sutton goes, "I'm not going to make out with you," and they pan to Erica going, like her face.
Yeah, her
It's like
face the whole show.
it's great.
She
So
was
this is
amped up. But I
yeah,
felt like Kyle was doing that to just shut up. I think she's was frustrated with Sutton because Sutton, I think, digs a little bit. She,
uh-huh,
like, tries to get information,
uh-huh.
and I think she's trying to shut her down. I don't think she cares about her at all. I don't think they're friends at all. Maybe in Sutton's mind, they're friends, but I think Kyle's like, "Oh god." She's got enough stuff she's trying to work out in
Yeah,
her own life, and she's like, "I don't have time for this woman, and I do not appreciate her digging into what's about to be revealed, and I'll just shut her down."
and I think the whole thing with Kathy is basically it's like, "She's my sister, not your sister, relax." Like,
Yeah.
just because you think she's powerful doesn't mean she loves you, like, we are actually blood. I think that's
Yeah, I feel like
annoying.
that
Yeah.
happens a lot for her, people trying to weasel their
Yes.
way. But what people need to know is Kathy is the most flaky person. Like, she'll tell you, and I speak from experience, "Oh my gosh, I love you. I want to be on your show." And then 5 minutes later, she totally forgot about you.
Well, that's a good, uh, grand dame of Beverly Hills, I guess. Everybody feels that she loves them.
Mhm.
Um, so then we're like, Kathy's not even mic'd yet, and then she comes in. Kathy Hilton, welcome back. And he says, "Do you watch the show?" And she goes, "Well, I watch all the clips." Which he goes, "Okay, don't watch the show." And she goes, "I only watch What Happens Live because it's short." I mean, she's just so
Well, I think she's
wacky.
really I think it's her ADD, just
Yeah,
terrible. Yeah.
yeah. So we see some clips about everything that happened last year. Now, I got to tell you that you and I have not talked about this. We talk about the um, the Richard sisters a lot, you and I, but the scene in the kitchen, and I don't think this has been delved into enough, of Kim and Kyle in the kitchen and that conversation
Mhm.
was so it was probably the best part of the whole season for me because we actually got to see these two women talking about Kathy, like Kyle saying, "She's just so mean." And
Yeah.
like when somebody is that mean, like I just shut down and I'm afraid to let her close. And Kim is saying, "I understand." And they've so like deitized the mom, who by
Mhm.
all accounts was kind of a bad person.
Mhm.
Um, that scene where Kim is like saying, "I've been doing all the," Kim obviously has all these years of addiction and she's really digging in now as a 50 something year old woman doing the work. And she said, like, in the therapy, I miss mom. I love mom. But basically, it's like mom is the one that fucked us up. Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think Kim is actually able now to speak it out where I think
Mhm.
Kyle and Kathy cannot. They
Cannot.
can't. They
Mm-mm.
can't. It's fascinating.
It
It's
is
fascinating.
fascinating. I'm always like, "Wait, are we living in the same world? Like, have you read every account of your mother?" But
Yeah.
but I think sometimes parents who are of a certain personality disorder
Mhm,
are very convincing to
mhm,
their children. They've like crafted this whole narrative, and children often are unwilling to dismantle that narrative because everything that they know to be true about themselves in the world would be completely shattered, and they're
mhm.
not capable of doing that, or they make a decision not to do that because it will completely rock their world.
Yeah, I mean, the situation with those sisters is just never ending fascination for me. Never ending.
Yeah,
S
remember what I always say, Kathy's the dictator,
Mhm.
Kyle's the doormat, Kim's the disaster.
Yeah, exactly. So when they go, Andy flips over to Kathy and she pulls a hanky out of her bag and pretends to cry. And she's like, "Oh, ho, ho, I have so much power. I can lock people out of Beverly Hills society and parties." Oh, they all laugh. And Erica goes, "Okay, like it is funny, but truthfully, you don't want to go cross with this one." And as she said that, you see Sutton go, "Ooh," and fall over.
Huh?
And I love that Kathy immediately goes, "Sutton, you're 49. It's a hot flash. It's going to happen. Like, move the fuck on." I mean, I was like, she's clearly
I
not having a
because
hot flash. She
because I
fell
know
over.
I think that Kathy knows that Sutton digs way too much into Kyle's info, that she's on the cusp of learning something that she will weaponize,
Yep.
and I think she's just not having it. She's in full protection mode over Kyle. The
Yeah.
way that they were grasping each other's hands.
Yeah.
Do I think they have like a great relationship? Not really.
Mm-mm.
But I think right now Kyle's like, "Listen, I'm leaving my husband," and Kathy's like, "Well, thank God." I
Right.
think that shifted a lot of their relationship because Kathy hated her husband. So
Yeah.
that opened up a couple doorways, but she's in like protection mode now.
Mhm.
And I think Sutton was gunning for Kyle, and that's what you're kind of seeing on screen.
It's interesting how everybody gets up and is sort of panicked and trying to help. And, Anna Marie's a nurse and, whatever. And so, but Kathy and Erica just over there, "What's wrong with her?" She's got, "Oh, it's like a neurological thing. Okay, what's the deal? All right." And then she goes, "Oh, I was about to go after her next, so it's a good way to get out of it." Like she had no empathy for
But I
Sutton,
feel like
like having to go to the hospital,
that
you
was
know?
probably the most realistic version of who she probably is.
Oh, for
Like,
sure.
she has a very small group of people that I think she really maybe
Yeah.
nurtures, if you
Mhm,
will, adjacent. I mean,
mhm.
even with her own daughter in Paris and Love, you're like, "Wow, okay, that's a lot."
When your
I
own
think that
daughter
was
doesn't even tell you that she's having a baby, you know?
well, also, in her mind, she's not being filmed right now. They're not really filming the show because they're taking care of Sutton, who's about to, like, fall over. So then she can be
Right.
her normal self.
Yeah. Yeah. It was interesting. So I would like all the monkeys out there to note the fan, okay? Because, I will show you this right now. You see this fan? Okay. This is the fan that I've talked about for years. It literally is in my like Amazon storefront. This is the fan. It's $12. This is the fan, Kate, that Garcelle had on Sutton. She had it in black. I also have it in black. It's downstairs. I have them all over my house. Ladies with hot flashes, this is the best fan. So when they kept showing Garcelle fanning Sutton with this fan, I was like, "Up, taking pictures. Look at that. There's the fan. Told everybody this is the best fan for years. It's great." Um, I've tried so hard to get this fan so that I could brand it,
Yeah,
but it's like so expensive to buy one and then take the sticker off and get it branded properly. It would be like a $50, $12 fan.
got it.
So, anyway, go into my Amazon shop, you can find it. So, we see, Erica saying about the stuff, we see a flash about the DJ in Aspen, and, Erica goes, "Yeah, here's the thing about Kathy, she could pick up the phone and make things happen," and Crystal agrees that Kathy is super powerful, and Kathy's like, "Okay, whatever." Then we see the whole conversation about Hilton Highland and Mauricio starting the agency,
Mhm.
and Kathy says Rick was happy for him to start his own business. He just said, "It's very hard to go out on your own. It's very hard to start your own business. Just don't poach my staff and my agents." And he said, and he did. And Kyle kind of like doesn't say much, but you could tell she's like, "Yeah, he did." And she was like, "So that's where my problem with him started, basically." I
Well, I
was
think
like,
he probably took his team, right?
"Well, that's what Kyle said." Well, she kind of is like, "Well, he had the Umansky group under da 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 da," but I think the issue probably was more the clients.
I
stealing
know,
the
but like that's
clients.
real estate, man. Sorry.
Well, it's
It's a
family and it
relationship business.
didn't
Sorry,
go over
Rick.
well.
Well, I
Didn't go
think
over well.
anything that happened, he would have been mad about. But I also think Rick probably looked down on him like you're just the brother-in-law. I mean, there are probably other dynamics there that
There's
in
so many
addition
dynamics there.
to the business dynamics, you know?
God, why won't somebody do a documentary about them?
But I
Okay.
have to tell you, there are clips out now for buying Beverly Hills where Mauricio seemingly talks a lot more about it.
Yep.
Okay, I've already watched a couple of those episodes. Don't get so excited. He doesn't go that much into it.
I just requested access to the screeners yesterday because
Yeah.
I want to see it.
It's not
Um,
that much more. It's like his version of what happened versus Kyle's limited version.
mhm,
She's so protective. I suspect a lot of it is just in her attempt to protect the girls from hearing anything negative about their dad.
of course. Yeah.
Mm,
And you would too. I mean, I would.
mhm,
Um, so, all right. So, anyway, Garcelle and Sutton are going to the hospital with Merce in the purse, whatever. So, we talk about Kathy and Kyle and how they came together at Kim's daughter Whitney's wedding shower and they made up. And then Kathy tells this story that I didn't understand about. I was at the salon all by myself and I heard Kyle walk in and say, "Is that
Oh,
my
I've heard her
sister?"
tell that story before. So she's at the wedding and it was just the salon where she went to get her hair blown out and she was
Hmm.
like getting her hair wet in the bowl. And Kyle, they're the family around and they're just kind of distracted. And she walked in the salon and she went, that's Kathy. It's my sister. And I think the sound of it sounded like little sister excited to see big sister when they were kids. And it just
Okay.
hit her in an emotional way. And
Got
because no
it.
one else was around and they could have this private moment, that's why it was
Hmm.
special.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, I didn't, probably the way they cut it, I didn't quite get it. And
Yeah.
then Kathy, kind of tears up about it. And she says to Kyle, "I am 100 times more sensitive than you." And Kyle's like, "Okay, I don't think that's right." And she goes, "No, Kyle, your vibe is very strong." And Kyle's like, "Okay, so is yours. Everybody goes terrified of you." And then Kathy says, like you're saying about the big sister, little sister, she says, like, "I just want you to like need me."
Mhm.
Right. And because I do believe uh, Kathy's a good bit older than Kim and Kyle are, and that Kim and Kyle are
Mhm.
maybe closer in age, right?
Yep.
This podcast is sponsored by Greenlight. When you're a parent, you'll have your fair share of big talks with your kids. Don't I know it? But one of those big talks should involve money, and Greenlight can help with that. Greenlight is a debit card and a money app made for families. You can send your kids instant money transfers, get real-time notifications of their spending, manage their chores, and automate the allowance all through the app. You can set up a recurring or one-time chores customized to your family's needs and then connect them with the allowance to reward kids for a job well done. When my kids had Greenlight card, and Ingrid's kids had it too, I set up their chores. So if they did things like take out their garbage or empty the dishwasher, they got, $1, $3, whatever it was. And then at the end of the week, when it hit their account, they could actually see the growth and the earning. And then they could put half of it into a little savings account if they wanted. It was all great. And your kids are building financial literacy and independence by learning to earn, save, and spend wisely. The Greenlight app also comes with an in-app financial literacy game called Level Up. And kids love a game that helps the kids build money confidence through videos, bite-sized challenges, mini games, and more. More than 6 million parents and kids use Greenlight to learn how to make responsible financial choices. My kids have been 2 of them. So stop putting off the money talk and start putting your kids on the right path. Sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free at greenlight.com/pinkshade. That's greenlight.com/pinkshade to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/pinkshade. Eating better is easy with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals. You guys, this weekend I was at a Bunky's house, and guess what they had in their fridge? Tons of Factor meals. That's right. I was blown away. I was like, you know how much I love Factor. These are chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, ready to go in 2 minutes. They have 35 different options to choose from every week. They have Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, which I really recommend, and Keto. they have these 60 add-ons. I got some of these little like green juice shots that'll kind of really get those veggies in when maybe you're not so good about eating veggies like I am. They have the 2-minute meals, which are great if you're on the go trying to get a quick lunch. There's no prep, there's no mess. They're ready to heat and eat, so you don't have to cook or clean up or anything. You just eat it and go. It's flexible. You can take it to work. I love it. It's the perfect solution if you're looking for fast, premium options with no cooking required. So sign up and save with Factor. We've done the math for you, okay? And you know math is not my thing. Factor is less expensive than takeout, and every meal is dietitian approved to be nutritious and delicious. Like I said, I love the protein plus meals. So you're going to head to factormeals.com/pinkshade50 and use code pinkshade50 to get 50% off. That's code pinkshade50 at factormeals.com/pinkshade50 to get 50% off. So now we go on to Kyle and Mauricio. And Andy goes, now we're going to talk about Kyle and Mauricio and the love story that's Camelot and the da-da-da-da, the future hangs in the balance. And she goes, thanks, Andy. He goes, no problem, sorry. So we get this huge clip package that ends with them talking to the girls about the separation. And Andy asks, what was the start of the issues? What's an event that stands out? And she says, and you and I can relate to this. You have regular life, you have issues, you have kids, you have schedules, you're going along like this. And then they never worked on little problems as they came along. And he says, again, like, did one thing like break your trust? And she says, yes. And he says it's something he did. She didn't really say. And she says, basically, she always put her family first. And there were things in the past that she just put up with that became more clear to her after this event. And she thought it would come back and it didn't. And then she was like, we were together for 28 years. So yes, of course, obviously I want to make it work. And Erica Jane's like, yeah, you're not faking it for 28 years. Now we get the flashbacks of the Brandy Glanville, the Lisa Vanderpump, the magazines in the suitcase, which I'm always fascinated with these clips because I'm the ever evolving faces. And Kyle looks great then. She looks great now. And Kyle said he always said about the cheating rumors, it doesn't matter because we know the truth, which is a gaslighter.
Totally.
And Kathy says, but it does cast that shadow of doubt. And Erica says, it's a campaign of whispers. So what do you think about that? So I know that
I feel like he was probably a serial cheater.
I think he's a serial cheater. And it was always sort of like, don't ask, don't tell. As long as I don't have to hear about it, like I don't want to know about it. But she didn't accept it. She just willful ignorance, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
And
I don't think she would want to believe that somebody would betray her like that. She just didn't want to believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think she's very intent on perfect house, perfect kids, perfect life. Everything is in its place because I had chaos growing up. So now I have this,
Yeah.
So then Andy says, well, I never had it on my bingo card for Mauricio to be on Dancing with the Stars. And Kyle says, I would have never said yes to that. And Kathy's like, well, I knew it was serious. You guys were separated when he said yes to that. It was like he had dragged himself in the gutter.
It is so embarrassing.
It
So I
is.
thought the same thing too when he announced it. I was like, oh, come, you know what it made me realize? That coupled with his reality show, that he may have been kind of off-put by her being on a reality show in some ways. Obviously, he used it to build his business.
Yeah.
But he may have at times been like, well, you're on a reality show and I'm the real estate agent. And then all of a sudden she's like, wait, so now you're a reality star and now you're on Dancing with the Stars? Like, I think she may have realized in him that there's a thirst trap cheese bag that had been lurking in the background.
Yeah, just from those pictures from Aspen, you could tell he's a
well, even when Paris Hilton commented yesterday on the Queens of Bravo podcast,
Kate, that was so good.
You and your lame show, which is kind of crazy because all of her cousins are on the show. But yeah, they must. You're like, oh, they've been talking shit about him for years. Like, what? This guy is so lame. Get him out of our family.
Yes. Yes. And they could never say it to Kyle. And also because they, have a lot of cousin love there. So Kyle says they are separated. It's weird, but they do live in the same house. And yes, she did not like any of that Dancing with the Stars stuff. And yes, she is a jealous person and would have never said yes to that. And she didn't like seeing the holding hands thing, but they are separated, whatever. So did you notice when we came back from the break, there was little dun, 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 like country music playing.
No.
The intro music was like a country twangy.
There you go.
And Andy says, Kyle is dancing around for the reason of the split. And what's the real reason? She just won't spit it out. He's like reading a question. And she goes, because it's nobody's fucking business.
Wow.
And Kathy held her hand during that.
Yeah.
And then they talk about, like, are there conversations about him moving out? She says, yes, he is like looking to move out. The girls are being super strong and supportive. And Kathy says, it's very painful because he's family, because he is my niece's father. But looking back in the last few years, Kyle's traveling and doing things with housewives. And little by little, people enjoy success and they go off in different directions. And you're busy like a hamster wheel with your life and no time to think. And all of a sudden, you have time to think when you have devastation. But it's been weird between between you two for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And Kyle just kind of looks down. She's doing that lipping
Yep.
thing. And she goes, that's not exactly the right timeline. Um, and then Kathy says, I only want Kyle's happiness, and Andy goes, yeah, we're all hoping for the best here, whatever. Now let's turn to the person who caused the most stir this season, your friend, Morgan Wade. So Kyle says about Morgan, she had never seen the show. It was a lot for her, to get this attention. And then we hear some of the Instagram comments that are like, Kyle is a giddy schoolgirl around Morgan. And then we get the clip of Kyle like laying on her stomach with her head in her hands, like a schoolgirl with her feet kicked up behind her at the tattoo parlor. And Andy asked the group, what do you guys think? Do you think Kyle and Morgan are together like a couple? And nobody says anything. And finally, Crystal goes, I did. I did. And not just because of the tabloids, like some other things. And then he asked Dorit specifically, and she says, on Instagram, there were lots of pictures of you guys, and it does look like you are girlfriends. And then they show a clip of Anna Marie, who purportedly came on the show as Kyle's friend. On the after show, Kyle found someone in Morgan who makes her feel loved. Okay, so producer Ingrid, is one of my best friends, and nobody would ever say Mary Payne
Mm-mm.
found in Ingrid someone that makes her feel loved.
Well, they're
Because
all kind of dancing around it.
they are, and they
Yeah.
continue to.
Mhm. But
So
what I've heard from Inner Circle
sources.
is
Mhm.
that it's Morgan that doesn't want her to talk about it.
Why?
I don't know. I've tried to figure it out.
Because she just wants to be known for her music and doesn't wanna be, but I mean, they're
But you
always
go to on all these picture things
uh,
and Backgrid is taking your photo, so I don't
yeah.
I could see why I'm confused by it. I could see why Kyle would be confused by it. Like, I just wanna be out and say what's going on,
Mhm,
like, out in terms of, like, us out as a couple, but if
mhm.
one person doesn't really want the other to acknowledge it publicly, that would be confusing.
Then we see Garcelle and Sutton on the after show, and they say, "Well, they just do very personal things together," like, she went with her to a doctor's
Well,
appointment.
that one I didn't think was that big of a deal because she's making that doc about her breast cancer
Right.
surgery. So that one I was like, "Oh, okay."
She underwent, like, preventative double mastectomy because she
Yeah,
had
like
the
that one
BRCA
I was
gene,
like,
yeah.
"Okay, bad example, okay."
Of course, I was like, "Didn't Garcelle just go to the hospital with Sutton just now
Yeah,
and
like
leave the reunion?"
I would totally go with a friend to a breast cancer
Me
associated
too.
doctor
Me
appointment. Yeah.
too. So, Andy says, so does she like the notoriety of being friends with a housewife? And she was like, I mean, Andy, she's a critically acclaimed musician. And Andy goes, right, but you made her a household name. Like basically
That's
nobody knew
why
who
I
the
think
fuck
you
she
saw
was.
all these like Erica's face is like, "Come on." Like it's either
Right.
she's using you
Uh-huh.
or she's like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. It was interesting because he's like, nobody would have known, even though she's a critically acclaimed musician, nobody would have known who she was.
Nobody. I'm sorry. I
So
don't listen to country music, so I'm the last person, but
yeah.
I'm like, "What?"
I'm like, what about and Morgan Wallen? Is that the same person? No, that's a dude.
Maybe
Uh,
that's the age disparity that she's uncomfortable with. I don't know.
that's the part I'm uncomfortable with, but it's not up
Yeah.
to me. So Crystal says, "So why did you do that music video with Morgan?" And she was like, "Well, it was done like a month before the news kind of broke about Mauricio not being separated, and then we get some behind the scenes of the video." And Kyle goes, "Look, here's the thing. I told the director like I've never kissed anyone on camera like in an acting role, like much less a woman on or off camera.
I didn't believe that whole thing, but that's fine.
That was interesting. And she says, but obviously, I mean, I was curious. And then she looks at Kathy, who says, don't be embarrassed. And Kyle says, I mean, okay, so I was obviously curious. I mean, she's hot. And Andy goes, okay.
I did feel a lot of humanity in Kathy in that moment.
Kathy, I think, is there 100%
Yeah.
only for this segment to support Kyle while she
I think
talks about
Kyle
Morgan.
was probably like, I need my sister to be there. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah, like I'm going to refuse to talk about it.
A bulldog, she'll protect her.
Yeah, I think
So
that's
as much
right.
as like they've had troubles, like Kathy is very good for her in that way.
I think so. So then Andy says, the $1 million question, is anything going on between you and Morgan? And Kyle says, in that way, no, we are not a couple. And he goes, okay. He goes, but I mean, yes, I love her like as friends. And then Kathy like grips onto her hand again. And they keep, focusing the camera on that. And Kyle says, Kathy goes, listen, Morgan, I've met her. She is funny and bright and humble, and it's refreshing. And then when I saw her perform, I was blown away. And then, Kyle kind of nods and Andy's like, okay. Anyway, Kyle, could you see yourself with Morgan? And she says, I wrote this down verbatim. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, by the way, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. That's what she said. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And by the way, I don't know. And then she says, I'm evolving and changing and clearly going through an evolution. And I don't know what my future holds, which is not an answer. And Andy says, well, maybe next year she'll be on the couch out here. And Cal goes, yeah, I mean, you'll never know. She didn't go, no, we're just friends. We're just friends.
Yeah, I do think that what I heard is true. I think it's Morgan, the one who's like, please don't talk about us as a couple, because Kyle seemingly wants to, but she just is, there's something holding back.
Well, I think that this reunion gave us the answers that we need. Not that we need, that we wanted. How about that?
Yeah.
Not that we needed. Oh, he says, all right, so we're all praying for Sutton and Merce and the Ashes and Garcelle, whatever. And Andy says, so what will you take away from the season? And he goes around. And Anna Marie says, it's important for me to remember happiness and health. What a great answer.
She's off the show. Gotta get rid of her.
Crystal says, I've realized that I can speak up and my voice matters.
Good. Like it.
Okay, great. And I do love Crystal. And Erica says, you know what I realized? I'm okay. I am proud that I showed up for myself. It's been hard, but I feel so much better. Great. Good answer. Bet It on Blonde was a great little 2-part series if you guys didn't watch it.
I did not, nor do I care to.
I think you should.
No, I'm okay.
I texted Ronnie and I go, I can't wait to listen to Crappen's review just because their imitation of Mike and Mendon is just always the best. It's like, yes, bitch. And he's crying the whole episode. He cries the whole time. And Ronnie goes, oh, we weren't going to cover it. I go, you have to. Like, do it for me. I'll pay for the Patreon. Like, please. And then they did. It's so good. So Kathy says, I'm just happy to be here with Kyle. And I'm really glad that all these girls here seem to have a sisterhood. And if you talk about my sister again, I will cut all of you bitches right out of Beverly Hills Society.
Right.
And then Jeree says, I've learned not to trust. No, hold on, Andy. Let me start again. And he yawns. And she goes, Andy?
She's off. Yeah, she's off the show. Sorry. She's gone.
I think that when she showed up, my understanding, 2 hours late.
Yeah.
When they were all sitting around waiting, I think he was like, that's it. I don't need to deal with this bullshit,
Nope.
And she says, okay, so Andy, what I've learned is by nature, if someone is being nice and makes me believe that we are friends, I believe it. And maybe I'm naive. And he just looks at her and he goes, huh? He goes, are you talking about Garcelle? And she goes, yes. Okay, I'm done. But you asked the question, Andy. So he does ask a question, then yawns in her face. It is funny. It is rude. And Kyle says, okay, well, what I took from the season is I lost my happily ever after, but I'm strong and I'll still have it no matter what. And then we see the cards at the end. After a brief stint in the ER, Sutton is back home making a full recovery with the dogs and Avi. 2 weeks after the reunion, Kyle flew to Nashville to see Morgan in concert. Kyle and Mauricio still live in the same house on different floors while he continues to search for his new home. And that's what we got. And Watch What Happens Live was a pre-tape because, I mean, John Hill was on Watch What Happens Live last night while he
Mhm.
was also with me at dinner here. So obviously it was pre-tape. So like last week. So they didn't talk about the reunion at all. They just started off with Andy saying, I just want everybody to know Sutton's fine, because I'm sure people are like, well, what actually happened to her?
Yeah.
Do we know what actually happened? Like her
No,
blood
no
pressure was
idea.
up and we have no idea.
No idea.
All right, Kate, 3-part reunion. Overall, what did you think? Did part 3 like hit home like you thought it was going to? I know you're going to say no because you're
No.
Kate.
No. No.
Because you're Kate and you're going to be like, no,
No. Mm-mm. Not at all.
it didn't give you all the feels you needed.
No. I feel like I would have done a better job, but I'm a woman. I think women get better answers out of women.
I agree with that. I feel like we did get our non-answer answer from Kyle about Morgan.
Mhm.
And I think that's fine. I think nobody in the world wants Kyle to feel like she can't live her true self, that she
Yeah.
can't explore this new relationship. She's obviously lived with a serial cheater and somebody who also probably has done a little defrauding her in the
It's
business aspect of it,
Yeah, it's the phrasing of the questions. He should have said something like, "What part about you now feels very different from the Kyle that was married to Mauricio?"
Mhm.
It's the backdooring. It's what women just know a better way to answer it. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I think that I thought it was good. I thought it did give me what I wanted as far
Yeah.
as answers go, and I did like the Kathy Kyle. I did like Kathy being there for her sister, knowing that she was gonna talk about something that she's trying to dance around and not give any details on.
Yeah.
Um, and it will be very interesting to see if Morgan films a little bit
Of
for
course
next
she will.
season.
She will, of course.
They're gonna be promoting this documentary.
Although I feel like if she breaks up with Kyle, it's gonna be really hard for Kyle.
And, she may be like, "I don't need this in my life." You know what I mean? She may
I'm a little bit worried about that. If I were Kyle's friend, I'd be like, "Oh god, that's gonna be hard for her."
yeah,
If the feeling of rejection.
right, especially if
Yeah.
this is the first time you've been out of
Mhm.
a marriage in 28 years.
Yeah. The
I've been
first
married for 23
stings a little
years.
bit.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't imagine having a date.
Yeah.
It would be terrible for me. I would just stay at home with my dogs and be happy. I think that's the way to go anyway. Um, Kate, thank you for joining me. And
Thank
also,
you.
guys,
Yeah.
check out Kate Casey's podcast,
Yeah.
Reality Life with Kate Casey. I'm on it this week
It's
talking about Seeking Sister Wife. Today,
You're on today. Yep.
Thursday. You
Yep.
guys, how much more of me do you need? I've got like 3 episodes out today, and I'm on your favorite Kate Casey's podcast.
Yeah,
But we
girl.
do talk about Seeking Sister Wife, which is, one of my favorite subjects.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody can listen to my Patreon for bonus episodes about the
Yes.
royal family and what's going
Mhm.
on behind the scenes with the press. Patreon.com/KateCasey. My must-watch list is at katecasey.substack.com.
You guys
Facebook
have to
page.
subscribe to that. If you're not subscribed to that, then there's no way for you to even know what's happening on television. Kate has all the scoop.
Totally. Agreed.
Yeah,
And
totally.
Facebook group Reality Life with Kate Casey. That's
Yeah.
it.
And at Kate Casey CA on Instagram.
And I'm gonna post that Sia video, looking at my daughter's videos if anybody cares, on KKCCA on Instagram and TikTok. It's Kate Casey.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
I can't
it's
wait to
cute.
see that. I can't wait to see that. All right, Kate,
All right.
thanks
Thank you.
so much. And I'm going to try to find a button here to say goodbye. Okay, bye. Ads not read by me, Mary Payne, don't necessarily reflect the views of Pink Shade. If you'd like to listen to ad-free, you're going to go on over to Supercast or Patreon, and you can find the links to Pink Shade Prime at pinkshadepodcast.com.